Welcome to Nightmare Echoes. Listen, scream, and embrace your horror obsession. I'm your host, Eleazar, and today Jesse joins me to break down Escape Room. What is the Quantum Zeno Effect, and why does it matter to this movie? What do we actually miss in the deleted scenes in the alternate ending? And which of these rooms ended up being our favorite? If you dare follow us, all our links are in the description. Next week on the podcast, The Mummy. But until then, a movie that made us think, should I start training for escape rooms like it's the Olympics? Hello everybody and welcome back to Nightmare Echoes. I'm your host Eleazar. I'm joined again by co-host Jesse. Jesse, how's it going?
Pretty fantastic.
Alright Jesse, so we're covering this Thanksgiving movie, which even my kids were like, really Dad? It's a Thanksgiving movie? I'm like, it's during the Thanksgiving holiday. Everybody's like, happy Thanksgiving.
It's not very Thanksgiving themed though. It's not like Die Hard, which is so Christmassy.
You got it, right? He even says, so many Christmas lines. Let's not get into that one. I love that movie. This movie's directed by Adam Robitel. It came out in 2019, not to be confused with Escape Room 2018, which is not as great of a movie, anywhere close to it.
Yeah.
This one stars Taylor Russell as Zoe David, who's from Bones and All, but I really love her in Lost in Space, the TV show, which was an amazing TV show. Logan Miller as Ben Miller, which I thought was interesting. He's from Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse and We Summon the Darkness. Jay Ellis as Jason Walker, who was in Top Gun Maverick. Tyler Labine as Mike Nolan, who is famously in Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, and also in Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
They've got some kind of mid-range actors here, not as low grade as you would think for something people call a B movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be called a B movie, honestly. I think this is above B movie tier.
Is it called a B movie?
Some people call it one. I think they're wrong.
Okay, all right. And then Deborah Ann Wall is probably the most famous, arguably, as Amanda Harper. She's from True Blood, Daredevil, and all those Marvel TV shows at the time. And Critical Role, which I know many people love. And the person I didn't really know much was Nick Doldanny, who played Danny Kahn, but he was from the movie Twisters.
Yeah, considering all the extravagant set design, you would think the budget would be higher than it was.
Yeah, the set design was crazy. The budget was only $9 million, and it made $155.7 million in the box office.
It looked fantastic for a $9 million movie.
I can't see how that's considered a B movie. Wow.
I agree, but there are movies that are 10 times that
don't look as good.
Don't look as good, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, this movie is elaborate. So the movie starts out, and we kind of cut way late into the movie in this opening scene here. We see Ben falling into the library. He opens up in this elaborate, beautiful library with a dim atmosphere, dark wood paneling. There's a fire going. It'd be a nice place to sit and relax if it wasn't trying to kill you.
If it weren't for the fact that the walls are closing in.
Yes, exactly. So Ben runs to this one door. He instantly starts looking for a way out. He says that there are 10 numbers, but there are only 4 spots. So he needs to look for a code. But in doing so, he starts moving one automatically, which starts the whole room. I think what we know about the movie, at this point in the movie, I think he would have looked around before touching anything.
Yeah.
But the room just starts shutting him as soon as he touches it. So he runs around, sees a sign that says follow green pastures, finds a green book. Just before the wall would make the book unreachable, he's able to grab it, but it smashes the ladder he's on. And in the book, he reads, at any point in history, watch another die, unveils time's mystery while leaving you alive. So he starts looking for a clock. And he can't find one. He focuses on these paintings that depict 4 people pointing on a direction of a clock. And those are 4, 8, 6, and 2.
I don't think I would have figured that out.
Yeah, some of them are such leaps of logic in this movie.
And they don't paint him as being some really smart guy, you know, which he's solving this very fast. But I guess with the right incentive, you could do anything. And that, I think, would be my tagline for this entire movie. With the right incentive, you can do anything.
Yeah. So he goes to that first panel he was on. He inputs the numbers. They don't seem to do anything. The wall seems to get closer to him. He tries to escape through the ceiling, but he's unable to make it budge at all. And then we see him, what we think is getting crushed by the 2 walls, and it fades to black.
Yeah. In that sense, when you first watch it, you think this intro seems a lot like the beginning of Cube, right?
Yes.
And I mean, there's a lot about this movie that reminds me of Cube, and I think you said the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very puzzly and very sharp looking and deals with sort of that mistrust between the characters who are all stuck in this hostile puzzle.
Yeah, from a sociology background, I love stories of groups of people and how they handle crazy situations. That is like my bread and butter. Like I have sociology and English degree.
Yeah.
And so these stories are the perfect mesh of those two things.
And I love cool looking puzzles and also just, let's just say, tormenting people.
Sure. Yeah. So it's fun to watch.
They've got an awful lot of good things going on in this movie. It's a fun movie.
Sure. So then we get the title. The camera shows us like a top view of the city, and it lines up so we see escape room. Supposedly written with the buildings. It's not really done that well.
Well, I mean, the architects were designing these cities so long ago, they didn't even know this movie was going to come out. So you got to give them, the fact that they spelled it out at all is pretty amazing, really.
And it shows us that we're in Chicago and it's 3 days earlier. We meet a series of characters here: Zoe, Jason, and Ben. Zoe is in a class discussing Quantum Zeno Effect. The professor uses the phrase to watch pot never boils and says that on a really small scale it might actually be true, because as you're watching atoms, no change can happen. Zoe has written this in her notebook, and he had tried to call anybody in the class, but she doesn't want to get noticed in the classroom at all. So as the bell rings to let them out, he calls her over saying that he read her paper on the Quantum Zeno Effect and knows that she wants to be heard, but he thinks she only wants to be heard from the quiet space of her own room. He challenges her that over Thanksgiving break, he wants her to do one thing that is out of her comfort zone. And this is something we heard in AmeriCorps all the time. Just get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Boy, little how bad that advice would turn out.
Then we cut to a parking spot reserved for JW. We see a motorcycle pull up to the spot, and he pulls out of his helmet to reveal that he is Jason Walker. We see him on the phone with the client, telling him to take bigger risks so that he'll see a 30% return, unlike a 10% return that everybody will go on. And if he wants to retire in style, big boat, not a rowboat, he needs to listen to his advice. He convinces him to do it. While he's doing this, this guy comes in named Charlie, who's kind of his mentee. Jason refers to himself as being Mr. Miyagi to Charlie as the Karate Kid. And Charlie has no idea what he's talking about.
Of course.
So he tells him to download the Karate Kid.
Which is really probably the best advice he gives anyone in the entire movie.
Yeah, that's probably true. So then he gets another phone call from a very happy client who tells him that he's going to let him use a private jet and take it to his home in Tahiti for a nice weekend getaway. And then we ironically cut to Ben Miller, who is watching The Karate Kid while working in the back of his supermarket store. He's talked to his boss named Gary. He heard that a position up front as cashier has opened up, and he really could use the bump in pay because he's still living with his mom and he's cramping his mom's style, which I thought was a hilarious way to put it. But Gary just flat out tells him that he's sorry, but it would be bad for business for him to put him up front there, meaning that the town that he lives in just does not like him.
I wasn't sure exactly what that implied. It was a little strange.
Okay. Yeah, well, there's a deleted scene that goes further into it.
Really?
Yeah, so there's a deleted scene where we show that because he likes to drink, and Gary points that out, like, hey, you need a better hobby than drinking. He goes into a liquor store. He gives the woman a 20. She says it's $9.99. He gives her a 10, and he tells her to keep the rest of the change. And she said, I know, the penny, right? She says that is her daily call that it's not that bad, looking at that guy, like, because he buys alcohol every day. And
that helps.
There's another guy in the store that looks at her say it, but doesn't disagree with her. Then he's outside. A bunch of kids are like, hey, where's my alcohol? And he goes, no, you guys are minors. I'm not buying the alcohol. And apparently they gave him the 20, and he stiffed the kids.
Oh, wow.
Keeping their money and the alcohol.
Dang.
Then he starts swigging it. It's like 9 a.m, and we see another woman putting up her groceries. She just gives him this eye like of disgust, like, oh, I can't stand that you are near me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of things make a lot more sense. I think they should have left that in.
Yeah, I would say a lot of the cuts were probably timing and weren't necessary, but I could see how that one, would make the...
Especially considering the ending.
Yeah. We then cut to Jason, and Charlie brings him this shiny black box that was delivered to him, and he's hoping that it's going to be keys to a Tesla. But inside are a smaller box, and with a note that says, for always thinking outside the box. He thinks the box doesn't open, and he tosses it to Charlie, but Charlie tells him Happy Thanksgiving, and he tells him, whatever, I'll be in tomorrow.
I love that it's a puzzle box.
Yes.
I mean, it's...
Oh my gosh.
Puzzle boxes are so cool, and great way to start a horror movie.
Yeah. As other horror movies have done. We see Zoe awkwardly moving through a crowd going back to her dorm room. We meet her roommate, Allison, who is inviting her to have turkey dinner with her family over the weekend because she knows that Zoe has nowhere to go. Zoe tells her that she doesn't really do Thanksgiving dinner, and she's really excited to kind of have time to herself. She starts talking about some scientific theories that argue with each other. She gets super excited, and Allison's eyes start to just kind of glaze over. Mm-hmm. She even accuses her of making up words because she knows she won't look them up. After she leaves, we see that she pulls out a Sudoku and other puzzles book before she looks in the mirror, and the mirror starts to shake. There was an extended version of the scene here where we see her open the puzzle book and she sees the symbol of the Minos company in the puzzle.
Oh, interesting.
But she doesn't recognize it till later. The mirror starts to shake and she starts to have a flashback of this plane crash, and she's snapped out of it when Allison is zipping up her suitcase to leave, and we find out that Zoe's waking up from a nightmare. Allison, as she's walking out, sees a USPS box and hands it to her, saying it's a gift from her professor, and she sniffs her, asking them if they're doing it. And Zoe gets all bashful, and she's like, no. And then Allison tells her to have fun with her box, as she's gone.
Playing with her box, yeah.
Right. And inside this box, the note for her says, open new doors, and she pulls out the puzzle box to study it. We cut to Ben clocking in for work, and we see that the box has been left there, and it's not even in another box this time. The card is just right next to it. The card reads Ben, and inside it says a chance to escape, and he picks up the box to look at it. And then we kind of have a montage of everybody. Jason's in his office looking at the box. We see Zoe move the first piece, and she's really happy. She's really into puzzles. Ben is frustrated, tries to break it open with a hammer and throws it, but when it lands, that first piece unlocks. Then we see Jason on YouTube trying to learn puzzle boxes. There is a deleted scene where Jason tried to bribe Charlie to come into work on Thanksgiving Day by paying him $500 to solve this box. And he's like, no, man, it's Thanksgiving. I'm here with my family.
Yeah.
And he's like, fine, enjoy your mom's pumpkin pie, which is kind of funny.
That's not as necessary, I think.
Right. It's not as necessary, right? But it does say that he's made of money and he would like money to solve all his problems.
But I think we already know that anyway.
Right, we do.
I mean,
Right. They unlock all these pieces, and then they all kind of at the same time, but not really. We're just seeing them all push the pieces back together, and that makes the card pop out. And the card says, this serves as an entry voucher for Minos Escape Rooms. Be the first to escape our most immersive room yet and win $10,000. RSVP at minosescaperooms.com. And if you go there, you can buy the movie from Sony.
That's great.
I was like, oh, this has got to be real. And sure enough, they still have the address.
I'm surprised they've held on to it for like 5 years.
The movie's made some money. Maybe there's a budget they set aside for keep this address if the movie's made enough money. I don't know. Maybe they dream of making a part 3 one day. We cut to Ben smoking outside the building, about to go in when Deborah Ann Wall's character, Amanda, pulls up. She asks if this is the Minos building. He says, yeah. And then she gives this weird look to the cigarette, but doesn't say anything. And as she walks away, he says, I know, it's going to kill me.
I almost feel like the casting is a little questionable with this guy.
With him?
Yeah. I mean, from everything you're describing, right, we're supposed to think of him as like kind of scum and everything, but he doesn't look the part.
Yeah.
He looks too likable and clean cut and
sure.
Maybe not quite clean cut, but
I would say for part of the movie, I think he's an asshole, but he grows on me.
Yeah. I just mean appearance wise.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Amanda walks into the building, and there's a lone security guard who asks for her ID. He hands it back to her and then puts her name tag on her shirt. And the way he does it, she thinks he's too touchy-feely and says, most guys usually buy me a drink first, which I thought was funny. Then he says he needs to collect her cell phone because they can't have people posting pictures to social media. She hands over her phone, and he tells her it's on the 3rd floor. As she gets into the elevator, this seems to give her pause because she doesn't like in-type spaces that we find out.
Yeah.
And someone yells, hold the door, and we meet Danny, who comes in, and he tells her right away that he always sneaks in his second cell phone because the waiting rooms can be a long, boring wait. Then we enter the waiting room. I say with quotes.
Yeah, with quotes. Very big quotes.
Did you want to talk about the room already? Or?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say it's pretty obvious right from fairly early on that there's an oven theme, right? That there's like a fire and like everything on everything in a piece of reading material is fire related. Everything is. I don't know how much I noticed that the first time, but it was very clear the second time through.
Oh, there is a mug with an airplane on it. that is put there for Zoe to find.
Oh, yeah. There's mementos throughout the whole movie. Mementos for all of them to remind them all of their traumas just because the people who made the game are so nice.
Yeah. So when Amanda enters the room, she sees Zoe, Jason, and Mike. Amanda goes to the window, rings the bell, and the lady behind the window says, "Please have a seat. Someone will be with you shortly."
And it's very obviously a recording.
Yes.
And I'm kind of confused how no one can tell that.
Yeah. I mean, it took the genius that is Zoe to figure it out after 3 times of hearing it. Something like that.
Come on.
Mike jumps up to introduce himself to Amanda, and he thinks her name is funny because they had a family dog named Amanda. And let me tell you, no one likes to hear that story.
Yeah, nobody.
No one likes to hear that their name was a family pet.
Yeah.
But he continues the conversation, gets more awkward. Danny's staring at Jason's scar on his hand. Jason tells him it was a hitchhiking accident. Danny is concerned that he might not be able to play video games anymore. And Jason says he can't, but he passes the time by sleeping with adult women.
He is such a dick.
He is such a dick.
Especially in this room, everything he says, literally every word out of his mouth is like
in this moment, it
hostility.
looked like Amanda and Zoe both found that funny. But yeah, he's an asshole to everybody. Danny goes to the window. Amanda introduces herself to Zoe. She comments that Zoe looks familiar and that she might have been on TV. Ben enters the room and the door closes sort of loudly. And he says to himself, "This is going to suck," before telling everybody hi. Mike introduces himself to Ben. Amanda picks up a newspaper which is titled 5 Burn Alive. And the score grows creepy, and we see that the article is just affecting her, kind of like the way she looked at the cigarette and the way she paused before getting in the elevator. Mike mentions that the website made this place look a lot of fun. Danny can go on all day about how this is like a real-life video game. He's done 93 of these rooms. He's super excited about this one because it's supposed to be the hardest one yet. Mike says that his nephew is really into escape rooms, and he signed him up for it. Amanda says that her idea of being locked in a room isn't fun, but she wanted to do it for the $10,000 reward. It's a good motivation. Mike says that he's a truck driver and he's heard that AI might start taking over the truck industry soon, so he needs to squirrel away that money. Jason, being the ever dick, says that Mike's a real buzzkill. Danny says that the escape room must be crazy to have such a big prize. He can't believe how much street cred they're going to have when they beat it.
Ironic, since it turns out just the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. Mike wants to know the rules. Danny says you just escape in time. Amanda asks what happens if you don't. He says some guy comes in, tells you all the clues you missed, and makes you feel like an idiot. Zoe asks when the games will start, and Danny says they're just waiting for the games master to come in and tell them a story. Ben says while they wait, he wants to go out for a smoke. And when he goes to leave the room, the handle pops up, revealing a dial in there.
Oven dial.
An oven dial, right?
As soon as you see that, come on. With the theme of the room, you got to know not to turn that freaking dial.
Right. He tells the room that it come off. Amanda's like, "You broke it." Mike's like, "Is that how you treat your doors at home?" Like, they're all getting mad at him because the thing popped off. Danny points out that he thinks that they're already in the escape room. He tells them that it looks like an oven dial and they need to search the room for a code. Jason asks him, kind of like he's a child, "What are we looking for, bud?"
Yeah.
Which is like a dick thing. Which is funny because they cut it out of the trailer. They're like, "What are we looking for?" And it's like awkwardly cut off before he says the word bud.
Yeah, because you didn't have the context in the trailer to
right.
Yeah.
So he tells him to look for anything that looks like a puzzle or a code, and it could be anywhere. Ben asks if he should hold on to the handle, and Jason says, "Yeah, hold on to your knob there, guy." It's like, oh my gosh. Some of these lines are funny to me.
This is also the first scene where they start to notice that Dr. Wu Ten Yu's name is on everything.
That's right. It was on the magazines everywhere, yeah.
To the point you know it's going to matter.
Yep. We get a shot of the ceiling. We see this light display, which is like from the center, spins out in 10 different directions. There's light panels there, but there's all these little tiny cylinder things that point down that look like at this moment that they don't have a purpose. But the camera like really focuses on above them. Mm-hmm. Everyone searches, and Zoe finds the mug with the plane logo on it that says, "We know you have a choice." And knowing her nightmares about plane crashes, we know that was left to her. Mike opens Fahrenheit 451 and finds a star-headed screwdriver. Zoe figures that means they should turn the oven dial to 451, though to me it looks like...
Bad idea.
Yeah, but it looks like she turns it way past 460. Like she didn't even try to nail it right on 451, which I thought was weird. So we see that the red lights turn on the ceiling. Mike thinks it looks pretty cool, and Jason asks if anybody has any suntan lotion. Amanda's already worried, asking what Zoe did. Amanda asks her to turn it off, but she says that it won't move backwards, even with her help. The group notices that it's really throwing off some heat, and Amanda asks Zoe not to touch anything else. Amanda's definitely scared and asks Danny, who she calls Gamer Boy, what they should do, and he says you could always ask for a hint. And she's like, oh, that's an option? Now you tell us? Danny's like, it's more fun if we do it ourselves, though. And Jason tells him, good one, Gamer Boy. And Amanda goes to knock over the window. And when she goes to knock over the window, I think this is the third time we hear it, where it says, please have a seat. Someone will be with you shortly. And this is where Zoe notices that the same message, same exact cadence and tone. And Danny tells her that the actors aren't really Judi Dench. And Mike is like, I love Judi Dench. Jason picks up a snow globe, which has a picture of a sailboat on it. And he focuses on it a lot, meaning that this was left here for him, just like the plane for Zoe and the fire for Amanda. Ben says he doesn't think a snow globe is going to help, but Jason tells him that there's a lock hidden behind it. Danny gets excited because the locks are a very important part of escape rooms. Mike says that he won't be able to help at all because he always loses his keys, and no one thinks he's funny. But I found it funny.
Everything he says is kind of annoying positivity guy.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Sure. Ben figures they could just break it off, and Danny warns them against that. They should never have to use force in an escape room. Ben pulls the fire extinguisher off the wall, but finds it's just plastic, and he throws it on the floor. When he does that, a new sound comes on, and the pillars that look like they're load-bearing pillars in the room reveal that they also have oven coils in them as well, and it starts pumping out even more heat. Amanda says that they look real. Danny says it's all part of the experience. Amanda asks if they are paying him to promote this place, and he says that he just knows how to have fun. She says like a heat stroke is a real idea of having fun. Ben tells her just take off her jacket, and Zoe notices something in the fire extinguisher, so she pulls out the key. She runs over to pull it in, but Jason stops her, calling her short stuff, and she should really think about it before tiki torches start coming out of the wall. And then Mike says, hey, we needed a key. She found a key. Let her stick a key in the hole. So when they open it, they find that there's a mannequin inside, and Danny's the one that points out that it looks really creepy. The phone rings. Everyone looks to Jason because he has a comment anytime anybody wants to do anything. So he's like, fine, I'll do it. So he hears, welcome to Minos, the world's
preeminent designer of escape rooms.
Thank you. To get the most out of your games, we recommend that you follow all posted rules. And he tells them that the phone said to follow all posted rules, and then he hangs up the phone. Barricades come up over the windows from the outside. Amanda starts to really freak out, saying she's done. Ben tells her to go drink some water to cool off. Pictures on the wall light up to reveal fans that Ben thinks are pumping in hot air. As they frantically search, Zoe stays with Amanda and notices burns on her back and neck. Amanda is drinking the water, and the group panics more. Zoe sees a posted sign that reads, Dr. Wu Tang Yu says, please use all coasters at all times.
And that's the posted rules.
Right.
That they were being given a clue about.
Yeah. So she runs over the coaster, presses it, and one of the pictures of the wall lifts up, revealing that there's an exit behind there. And so they all come over and they all press down a coaster, what makes the wall goes up. But as they run to go do it, it closes again.
The clue is very specific, really. Please use all the coasters at all times.
Yes.
That's how you have to keep the door open.
Right. Jason says he'll go first, and Ben calls him out on it. But Jason asks the group if they would prefer Ben to go instead of him, and no one speaks up. Amanda helps Jason move the couch to get up there easier, and there's 4 of them stuck holding the coasters down. Jason makes it to a grate, and he notices that they need that starhead screwdriver. Mike tells Amanda to take it to him, but she just says she'll take the place of the coaster holder because she doesn't like the enclosed spaces, and Mike goes in. Danny says here, I can't wait for the next room.
He's having a great time.
He is, yeah. Mike takes off his jacket and follows Jason. They send Amanda next, and she looks terrified of the small places. Ben points out that they're ignoring the eventual inn that they were going to run out of hands. That's when Zoe gets the idea, asking Ben and Danny to take over, and so they all put their foot on coaster spots, so the 2 hands and 1 foot are each holding
it
down.
Amazing how long it takes them to think of the idea of putting glasses on coasters, which is the most obvious thing in the world.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Well, wait till I talk about the original opening.
Okay.
Which I'll do at the end of the movie.
All right.
So, to me, it looks like they're playing a game of Twister, which Ben then points out. The worst game of Twister I've ever played. which in hindsight is funny because the guy playing Danny would later be in the 2024 movie Twisters.
But they couldn't have known that.
They couldn't have known that.
It's amazing.
It's just funny. We see the mannequin is starting to melt. Zoe brings over a glass of water, put it on the coaster, but it doesn't work, and she figures it needs to be full. Amanda has a flashback at this time of being in the war and crawling out of a Jeep. It looks like a bomb had hit, and there's fire all around her. Zoe asks if Amanda's okay, and Danny tells her to go check on her. Ben tells him to stop being chivalrous because no one here wants to have sex with you. So here Ben is being a jerk too. As soon as she gets in, they run and start taking turns filling up the water. Zoe helps Amanda get through, and as Ben is filling up the last glass, they find they're out. That's when Ben remembers that he has a flask of alcohol, and he's like pounding on it really hard to make the water go faster.
Why not just set the flask on the glass?
Oh, yeah, right.
I didn't understand. Like, this is stupid.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Well, I think some of the water was in the glass and some was in the flask, and they had to do it together. But you could have set the flask on top of the glass.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's what you said. Okay, my bad. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, they don't think this through. So right then, it starts shooting flames out. They run through the crawl space, and they're able to get through the lid just in time. And they come through a fireplace in a cabin, and Danny says, "Talk about immersive." So they're in room 2, the cabin.
And it's pretty cool that they go through a fireplace to get out of there.
I loved it. Yes.
It's great because it's exactly where they just came from was the fireplace.
Mm-hmm.
And now when we discover this place is super cold.
Well, we will in a minute.
Well, okay, I'll wait for that.
Yeah, because the cabin, it depends who you talk to, but the cabin seems like a separate room from the outside of the cabin.
I don't agree with that. I think they're the same room.
Okay, but if the fire room was designed for Amanda, the cabin is designed for Ben, and the outside of the cabin is designed for Jason.
I did not think of each room as being designed for a different person. If I had known that one guy was supposed to be a drunk, which I feel like they did not establish, then that would make it more clear, since the next room they're going to go into is a bar.
But the bar wasn't. I don't know, but this room is focusing on his car crash when he was drunk.
Maybe. I feel like all the rooms have mementos from all their things.
Okay.
And I mean, you can say, okay, fire was involved, but not every room has one thing that ties it to one person.
Okay.
I would argue, unless you think one of them is a drug addict.
No.
So yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
Danny says that the room's just messing with him because Amanda's freaking out because she's like, that was real, and he doesn't believe so. Jason says that it doesn't matter, it's $10,000, and Jason doesn't lose. Amanda looks at the camera and yells that she wants out now. She tells Danny to hand over her phone, but he points out nothing has really happened to them yet. What is she going to tell the cops? And she says, I'll tell the cops they locked us in a room and tried to cook us. But then we find out there's no cell phone signal.
But I was going to argue, the reason that I don't think that they should count as separate rooms is there's no big puzzle to solve in the cabin.
There's the 2 locks to get out of the door.
But they're not major puzzles. Like, it's not significantly difficult.
Okay.
And there's no major threat in the cabin.
They should just relax there forever?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I don't think that's the room.
Okay.
I think that's just sort of the entryway to the room.
Okay. I get what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, I could go either way. Mike, then, trying to make the best of it, is saying that if they had hot cocoa, this place would be perfect. Jason finds a key to unlock the first lock on the door pretty fast and tells them for the second lock they need a 7-letter word. Mike looks over and finds a cross that says, "You'll go down in history." Jason asks what presidents had 7-letter last names, and Zoe immediately says Madison, Jackson, Lincoln, Johnson, Harding. And Jason says, "Slow down there, Rain Man," and Danny points out that's offensive. And so the Jason starts with Madison. Ben then notices the deer antlers mounted to the wall across from him, and while the whole group is trying to go through all the presidents' names, he sees there's initials in all the reindeer. Ben tells him he found some letters, but there's 9 of them. Then Ben flashbacks to in his car when they're all drinking alcohol and they're singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And the moment they sing the line, "You'll go down in history," we hear a big car crash happen. The group looks at him as he starts to say Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen. Ben turns to Jason and says the answer is Rudolph. Zoe and Ben are the last to leave the cabin. She can tell that this room has really messed with him, but he just says he's fine.
Yeah, there was no threat in that cabin. I just want to point that out, right? Nobody was in danger. Nothing, right? Like, I just point that out.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So now they're on the outside of the cabin. The group, when they get outside, Mike says, "Am I stone cold tripping or something? Or are we outside?"
Yeah.
Which is funny. Yeah.
And you will later be tripping.
And so I like to point out that the heat room got most of them to take off their jackets. Although I would say that 2 of them are still wearing a light kind of throw over.
Yeah, I was going to say that's really good design, right?
Yeah.
Like, to make sure that the one, as we're about to see, the one jacket in this room is important.
Right. Once they make it over past the cabin door, the door closes and this piece of wood slides over it to keep it shut. Zoe and Amanda are looking at a thermometer, says it's 30 degrees and dropping, and Mike yells, "Echo!" So that was funny. Danny says that it's like ice skating, and he starts walking over this frozen pond. Jason tells him to be careful, but Mike tells him just let him go figure it out because he's the expert at these escape rooms.
I feel like they really make Mike and the gamer guy, they make them especially annoying. I mean, in these rooms, like...
Oh, I loved Mike.
Like, Mike, it's just his humor is clearly not appropriate for the situation, right? Like, it's just not grasping the the gravities of the situations they find themselves in.
Sure.
And then gamer guy, sort of similarly, right, is just not appreciating the danger they're in. And in this scene, he even says, like, "That's it, no more scary shit."
Yeah.
There's a line where he says that, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Somehow I doubt that.
Right. Then there's a sound like ice cracking, and Jason tells no one to move because Mike and Danny are also on the ice. Danny, still believing in the game, says they're fine and bangs on the ice, and Jason tells him not to do that. Danny points out that they're watching and no one can get hurt because can you imagine the lawsuits if someone got hurt?
See what I mean?
And then he like had run into the edge of the room, and we discover it's a screen that makes it look like the room is bigger than it is. Yeah. And he's hugging the thing saying, "Whoever designed this is an artist."
And I feel like that is self-praise by the writer of this movie.
Sure.
Because, I mean, okay, honestly, the rooms are pretty well designed. In fairness, like the cleverness of the puzzles and everything, like the writer did a good job. And I think that line was just them patting themselves on the back, like, I did a freaking good job designing these escape rooms.
Well, the director gives credit for those to Edward Thomas, who was the production engineer when they were doing the special features. He said that guy, Edward Thomas, went out before everybody else and really was there ahead of the rest of the crew to make sure that the rooms were designed really well. And then the actors said that he did such a good job that they were afraid of not being good at their job because they would ruin the movie that he made look so beautiful.
Well, that's awesome.
Which I think is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And somewhere in here, we're about to find a wolf.
Yeah.
So
Jason finds a door that's half as tall as a normal door, and it has a lock in it, which needs a key. Zoe finds a sled with a message on it that says true north is a lie. Amanda finds one winter coat, which is red, and Mike finds a fake wolf.
And that fake wolf, I want to point out, has 2 different colored eyes, which is just the way he described his dog.
I didn't notice that.
I think the wolf is his dog.
Oh, wow.
It either is his dog or is made to represent his dog.
Right, okay.
But he's so happy, positivity, I think he doesn't even notice.
Right. Well, he talks to the dog like he's real, saying, "What are you looking at?" And then he looks at where the dog's looking to see a big fishing rod is up in the trees. And he says, "Good boy." All right. So with that small coat, Jason's like, "Where'd you find that?" And she's like, "Oh," and she doesn't notice that it means something to him. She says, "I know what they're doing. They're trying to make us fight over limited resources." She looks at the camera and says, "Well, it's not working because we're going to share. Zoe, you go first." Ben is trying to light a cigarette to stay warm, but he's not having a lot of luck. And he walks down the pond and his foot falls into the ice, which is extremely cold.
Yeah, he would lose that foot, right? Like you normally.
Right? Yeah. Mark starts climbing a tree and the rest of the group goes to check on Ben. Jason says that it's a false alarm. The ice didn't crack. There's already a fishing hole in there. And he asks him how he's such an idiot he didn't see it. Danny says there might be a clue down there, and Ben tells him to go ahead and dive and check it out. And Danny says, "It feels like I'm playing the world's funnest game with the world's meanest people."
Well, he's half right.
He's half right, yeah. Ben says that he can't feel his leg, and Mike comes over super happy that he's found a fishing pole, saying that he just climbed a tree for the first time in his life. He wants to know if he can use it, and Danny's like, yeah, there could be a clue down there. He's like, great, this is something I was good at. And Ben, trying to be the best dick around, says, oh, you could stand over a hole with a stick? Wow, thank God you're here. I was like, oh my gosh. But I love Mike's response. He says, I understand you're cold right now, but if you say something disrespectful to me like that again, I'm going to give you the slap your parents should have given you years ago.
And that's his best line in the movie.
It is. And both Danny and Amanda love it.
Yeah.
Like, it's good.
As does everyone watching the movie.
Right. Yes, exactly. As Mike lowers the line, Zoe finds a compass in that red coat. And remember what she read about True North being a lie, she starts following it where it leads her, which is to a bear with its open mouth. She tries to walk around it, but everywhere she goes points right back at the bear. The group is debating on whether or not they're wasting time with the fishing pole. Jason takes it out of Mike's hands, thinking he knows better, releases the line all the way down and realizes he doesn't know what he's doing, gives it back, but he gives it to Danny instead, and Danny gives it back to Mike. And then he says he gets crazy when he gets cold, talks about his travels around the world, which annoys Ben because he's like, oh, yeah, me too. I travel around the world all the time. But he's obviously just annoyed with him. Yeah. Then we cut to Zoe, who's putting her hand in the bear's mouth, and she has to put her arm all the way down. There's a big noise as she pulls it out, which kind of scares her, and she's found a big flat magnet with a big hoop on top of it. Mm-hmm. Ben finally gets his cigarette lit, and Amanda asks if he not smoke around her, so he moves away from the group. Zoe runs around telling him to bring the line back up because she has found this magnet. And Danny's impressed in how many clues she's found. She's so good at this. Mm-hmm. Mike lowers the thing, and then he says that they've hooked something really fast. He's pulling up, but it's super heavy, so the group all helps out. And what we get here is a metal cube, which is really the rim of the cube. And inside this big block of ice, there's a key in the middle. Amanda and Mike try to smash it against the tree, but that doesn't do anything. Well, Jason remember that Ben has a lighter, calls him over saying that he needs a lighter. Ben, still annoyed with the world, slides the lighter across the ice. Danny volunteers to go get it, and unfortunately the ice seems to explode under him, and he falls through.
And I think the reason for that is because the lighter is cheating, right?
Yes.
Because the game master does not want them using a lighter.
Right, exactly. So Amanda wants to dive in, but Jason stops her, saying the current is too strong. She wouldn't be allowed to come back. And it's not before too long they lose him, and we see him lose his last bit of air. Jason says that Amanda was right and this is real, while handing over the jacket to her next. And I was really shocked that he gave it up.
So was I, actually.
Yeah. Then the group turns to Ben. Since he was the one that threw the lighter, Mike implies that he threw the lighter on purpose, and they ask if they think he did it. And Jason's like, hey, that's your words, not mine. Amanda says that Danny kept talking about a games master, implying that this guy, who's not the smartest in the bunch, is their game master. Yeah. Ben replies that it's laughable that he would be the game master because Jason's the one with this whole psycho vibe. Mike looks like the creep at a truck stop, and Zoe seems like her parents locked her in the basement until she finished her homework. He then talks about Amanda's creepy scars. She said that she got them from Iraq, and he struggles to come up with a good comeback for her, but calls her a psycho Xena. He ends by saying, either way, he's the least suspicious one here. Jason tells him to shut up because none of it matters because they're all going to freeze to death. Jason tells them since the lighter's gone, they need to use their body heat. Jason thinks he's being heartless.
By the way, doesn't it seem a little like, I don't think body heat would melt that giant block of ice in less than 6 years.
I don't know. It's what the movie would have us believe.
But I mean, there's obvious, like, that's the next thing you go to. Like, clearly you would try to chip away at the ice, right? Like,
or pee on it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Pee comes out pretty warm. Yeah. If they all take turns peeing, especially at the same spot, they could get enough of it away on one side.
That's a good idea. Yeah, you could drill right down.
Which also I thought would have been a solution for filling up the glasses. Oh, you ran out of liquid pee, so someone there in the group's got to have enough pee to fill up a glass.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I really think they could have just drilled into it with a stick.
Right.
I mean, like, there's so many ways to do it.
Yeah. So Jason tells them that she needs to know the effects of hypothermia and that soon she won't even remember while she's there and why she's trying to escape. So as time passes, Jason seems to be the one actually motivating him here, and we see that the temperatures drop down to 0 degrees. Mike wants to know who would do this, and Jason says someone that has thought of every detail. This is when Jason goes into the flashback, seeing him and another man on top of a downed sailboat. and the other man is wearing the red jacket.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Right.
I think I missed that was the jacket.
Oh, yeah. It's the same exact jacket. Which, well, I get what you're saying. A lot of the room has to do with clues for everybody, but I feel like some of the rooms super hyper focus on one of them.
Maybe.
Mike, who's wearing the jacket, collapses, and the three who are trying to warm him drop the ice, and that's where Jason sees that he can already pull the key out. So they go to follow him. He seems disoriented, not remembering where the door is right away, and as he turns the key, Zoe's the one that notices the small door on the other side is emitting red light. Jason pushes past all of them to go for that door. On the way, small explosions start happening all over the ice. Zoe is the last in line to slide across when an explosion happens under her. This is where they all enter my favorite room, the billiard room.
Yeah.
So
every room is visually spectacular.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Visually spectacular, and that is not easy to do. Not enough movies have that kind of flair.
Yeah. The lights come on to reveal that they're in a billiard room equipped with a jukebox, bar, a billiard table. It gives this really nice vibe, and then the camera pulls back to reveal the whole thing is upside down.
Upside down, yeah.
So I'm going to sound confused as I refer to ceilings and floors throughout this whole thing. And I apologize because they are the same thing and not. I don't know. Mike, who says he's a glass half full kind of guy, says at least it's warm in here, and he takes off the red jacket. The room seems to turn into an elevator, and it feels like they're moving upward. The group says that the building was 15 to 20 stories high. They don't remember. Then a red landline phone, which is attached to the pool table, which is attached to the ceiling or floor, depending on your point of view. It's above them.
The floor of the bar
is the ceiling.
Is the floor of the bar, which is the ceiling of the escape room.
Right.
Can you put it that way?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I apologize. It's the whole time writing these notes. I'm like, which do I call it? And so Mike goes over asking how he's supposed to answer it. And right at that moment, the receiver from this landline phone falls down and Mike catches it. When he says hello, a loud screeching can be heard, and the song Downtown starts playing, which was also a big part of Short Circuit Part 2.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I do think it was a little weird, this like modem sound coming out of the phone that apparently is doing something.
Yeah.
But it's not really explored in the sense they don't like try to hang up the phone or anything like that. It's kind of weird.
Well, it's hard to do.
Well, sure, but everything's hard to do. They didn't. Yeah. It wasn't something they considered trying. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just thought it was kind of strange that it seemed to be controlling things, but they didn't. Anyway, loud noise seems to be a theme in this room because the characters, I feel like they did not do a good job representing this in the sound mixing.
Yeah.
But the characters are saying that the music is extremely loud.
Right, they are saying that.
Extremely painfully loud. From our point of view, it seems pretty quiet compared to their speech. Yeah. I think that's a mistake. I mean, I think it could have been done so that it would have sounded loud despite not actually overwhelming their speech.
Yeah, I feel like it's someone in an editing room saying, "Oh, this is annoying."
Yeah, well, but it depends how you do it. Like, I think it could be done, but
sure.
But this was where I started to notice every room is torturing them in a particular way. Like, they're not just puzzles where you're going to die if you don't solve the puzzle. In addition to that, they are also just torturing you while you solve the puzzle. Just sadistically, right?
Yeah, sure.
Because the first one is torturing them with heat, the second one is torturing them with cold, and the third one is torturing them with sound. Is every room going to torture them in some specific way? And, well, we'll get into that when we get to the next room.
Sure. So, Ben is not happy to die to elevator music. And Jason quickly notices that there's a yellow door, which is missing a doorknob. Zoe sees a trophy that is awarded to Dr. Wu-Tang Yu, and Mike notices the 8-ball is missing from the pool table. Mike wants to go over to look at the racks, and that's when Ben notices that a large section of the floor or ceiling below them is starting to fall away, and Ben grabs Mike before he falls hundreds of feet. Jason tells everyone to get off the floor, and they rush to grab a hold of the wall. Then the song starts again, and Amanda makes a run for the bar. She then takes off a layer because it's all wet from the exploding water. Jason asks her to try the radio, but that doesn't shut off the music. She climbs to the bottom of the bar to find a lockbox, which Mike comments on the craftsmanship of each room.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. That's the writers complimenting the production crew.
And in fairness, it's deserved. It's earned.
The rooms are beautiful.
Yeah.
They are beautiful.
And I also thought there was something interesting about, like, why is the bar upside down? What does that mean? I think there is something poetic about the sort of fear in this room being heights, right? That's the thing that kills you. And something about it being upside down, but I can't quite put my finger on how those things are connected, but I feel like they are somehow.
Yeah, well, I think some of the rooms disorient you in some ways, right? Obviously, it's hard to work through heat. It's hard to work through freezing cold. Later, there's a room that, like, visually is just hard to see in.
Right, yeah.
So maybe it's just hard to think when you're worrying about something so blaringly wrong in your brain.
Yeah, maybe.
With the room being upside down.
All it is.
Amanda says that she needs a 4-number code, and Mike tells her just to try 1, 2, 3, 4. And Ben says, we all know Mike's pin code.
But, like, seriously, with what you've seen in this game so far, like, are you really going to try random numbers? Come on.
Well, depending on how much time they have, like, how long would it take to do
I would be
999 sequences?
I would be afraid.
9,000. Yeah.
I would be afraid something would happen like happened in all the other rooms when they did something wrong.
You're right. Touching it. Yeah.
Like, come on.
So then he tells her to try 1, 1, 1, and this is where Zoe notices that the wall, there's a giant sliding puzzle, like the ones that we did of numbers 1 through 15, where the 16 is missing. You got to put them in order.
Yeah, and when she's sliding this around, like, I mean, she slides the blocks around in some way and then just says, finished. And I'm like, well, how do you know it's finished? Like, it looks like you just put them in a random order.
So they are grouped by color, and they each have a stripe or a circle in them.
Well, yeah, but how does she know where they're supposed to go?
Right. I don't know which color is supposed to go where, how she figured that out. But she does put the colors together and the stripes or solids together in the color.
But that doesn't really... I mean, it was the specific order they were in that was what gave them the clue.
Right. All right. Future editor Eleazar jumping in. So listening to us describe this, it clicked. The symbol in the center tells you the order because the circle has to be aligned. Each section then corresponds to a color. That color corresponds to a billiard ball number, and those numbers are what you punch into the safe to get the doorknob and escape. Thanks. Mike makes his way over there to boost her up because she can't reach it by herself. And as they watch her solve it, the song reaches the point with the big screech again. The floor under them gives way. Jason has to jump up and catch up on time. Ben complains about the shitty music and runs and leaps across the opening to make it to Zoe and Mike. So she puts in the code in that order, and it doesn't work. Then the puzzle starts to fall off the wall. Mike is trying to climb to get away, so the others fall, but he's too scared to do it. So while Jason is yelling at Mike, Zoe tells them to stop, and she'll do it. She reaches over, and Jason comes closer. Zoe tries and falls down at the ground. She seems dazed, and Jason tries to yell at her to wake her up. But then Zoe has a flashback of the plane crash and sees her mom hanging upside down in the chair dead. Zoe wakes up because Jason has joined her on the ground and is kind of tapping on her face, waking her up. She comes to yelling that the room's upside down, which we all knew. But this is what makes her realize that the code must be backwards.
Which is very clever. I would not have thought of that.
Yeah. And so Amanda goes in, tries 189, which works, and the ball rolls out and she catches it.
What a missed opportunity. Shouldn't it be 0186 so that the 9 is literally upside down?
Oh, man. I don't know. That's too far.
Is it?
Maybe.
Because the 0 and 1 and 8 are all numbers that are the same when you flip them upside down, which is what made me think that, you know?
I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's an idea. Then the camera rotates with us to make us, the audience, feel just as disoriented, I think, as the group in there. The group works to get back up. The ceiling beneath them gives way and Jason jumps up. He says it's the second time that floor has tried to kill him. The 4 are all by the door, but Amanda's all the way on the other side. So she prepares to American Ninja Warrior. She puts the pool ball into her pocket. She leaps 6 feet across to the table. In the special features, they show how many of the characters prepared by training through rock climbing, but she did a lot of rock climbing to prepare to do this. She was in a harness that we can't see. You know, they digitally removed, but she did a lot of this stunt work with the stunt team, which was kind of cool. She loved that part of it.
Nice.
So as she makes her way across the pool table, she puts her legs up on the table, kind of like a rock climber would for relief, to kind of rest their hands or make it easier. That's when the ball starts to fall out of her pocket to the ceiling below her.
Which really, really scary.
Yes.
It's like, no.
So Ben tells her, just let it go. Zoe yells the same thing. But she jumps down, knowing that they can't get anywhere without it. She gets the ball right as it was about to roll over the edge into the giant hole, as pool balls tend to do, rolling holes.
Yeah.
And then she hears the big screech happen. Her eyes go wide. She picks up the thing, yells Jason, and throws the ball right as the floor beneath her is giving. She jumps up to grab onto the landline phone, and she's suspended in air holding this phone.
That is a strong cord.
It is a strong cord. It never breaks.
Yeah.
Ben tries to reach her with a pull cue, which I didn't think would have worked because he doesn't have the strength to hold it when she grabs it anyway. But she doesn't have the strength to hold on to that and reach over to the pull thing. She tells the group that it's okay because she knows she's slipping, and she falls to her death, or possibly the sequel. I don't know. Mike then pulls Zoe into the next room, and we get to the hospital room. Yeah. The lights come on, and Jason wants answers right away, asking Zoe, but Ben points out that they need a minute because Amanda just died. Jason says that they don't get it, they don't have time to waste, and Amanda died. They didn't because it's survival of the fittest, which I was like, bullshit. They would not have escaped that room without Amanda.
Right.
What an asshole.
Well, that's what he says.
Right, exactly. This does motivate Zoe to get up in anger, saying that Amanda wasn't weak. She sacrificed herself for
she
us.
Says. Okay.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah. Then Jason says that they shouldn't have wasted their sacrifice, and that's when even more lights come on to realize they're in a hospital wing with many small hospital rooms. Mike walks over to room 249 and says that this was his room, and they each notice in turn that they have recreated all of their rooms that they've spent time in, and of course Jason's looks the most lavish.
And so I would say this room is not specifically targeted at any one of them.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I
Oh, no, it was targeted, in my opinion, I apologize, it was targeted at Danny, because they're trying to kill them through monoxide poisoning, which is what happened to Danny's family.
What was it supposed to be? Carbon monoxide that they were releasing?
Well, they covered in the record that Danny's family all died for carbon monoxide poisoning, and he was the sole survivor in his case. And later in the scene, Jason looks up and sees the tanks of gas and says that they're going to poison us.
Okay.
So I don't know.
I mean, that could make sense. I do still feel like there's nothing in the room that quite tortures them the way that the previous three rooms did. So
I agree with you. Yeah.
So I mean, they do have to torture one of them, right, with electric shocks, but it's not all of them. It's just one of them.
Right. And it's the saddest one.
Yeah.
But they all go into their reports. They all tell their stories of how they were the sole survivors. They kind of bond over this. This is where Jason remembers that he did see Zoe on the news, and that's why Amanda thought she looked familiar. He tells a story from his point of view of when the boat flips over, how his roommate went crazy, swam out, and drowned. The rescue people found him the next day. Mm-hmm. Ben tells the story of how he was the first one of his friends to get a car. He wanted to take everyone on a joyride. They were all drunk. Mike says that he was in a mining accident with his little brother and 10 other people in West Virginia, and he actually had to hear his little brother take his last breath.
And that could be why maybe if each room is for someone, the previous room may have been for him because it was a bar.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know who else it would be for, right?
Right, I know. I agree with you. I don't know either.
It was clearly a bar, so I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Zoe says that soul survivors are statistical in probability, and they want to see who the luckiest of the lucky are. The video plays asking if they have the heart to let Dr. Wu-Tang Yu work on them to better themselves. And the video tells them they have 10 minutes to act. Zoe is stuck on that they are using the cameras to watch them, but Mike says that he needs to get her on board. She's trying to explain to them the Quantum Zeno Effect, and then they need to change the way this is happening so that they can change their outcome and escape, but they're too focused on the task, which rightfully so, they're trying to escape this room before they die.
But yeah, her argument is if we're observed, nothing changes.
Right.
That's what she's saying. So
right. So she's breaking all these cameras. They find some x-rays. They turn on the x-ray light. And at first, Jason thinks that because the hand is holding up a 1, a 2, and a 0, that they are just saying the clues are 1, 2, and 0. But then Ben rearranges them to show that it's sign language for EKG because his cousin is deaf. So they want to find an EKG machine. This is where Jason notices the tanks of gas, and they have 3 minutes before they poison them. Mike tells Zoe to calm down. She tells him to stop telling her to calm down, that the group isn't listening to her. Jason bullies Ben into using the EKG machine, but his heart rate isn't high enough. So then Jason tells Mike to do it, but Mike says he isn't his guinea pig. But then Jason basically bullies him to do it too, and uses his brother's memory against him to let him use the paddles. Mm-hmm. Jason shocks his heart, stops it. As the time is running out, Jason realizes they need a high heart rate and a low heart rate, so he connects himself to the machine.
I don't think there was enough information to establish that.
I agree. And plus, he already stopped the guy's heart. He made it go all the way up.
Right.
And then all the way down.
Right, yeah.
So we have that.
Yeah.
But he calms himself down to get a low enough heart rate. This is when it opens.
You say calms himself down. I wrote down for this scene, like, it's amazing that he would have that much control over his own heart rate.
Yeah.
But then I actually went and looked it up, and the way that it was described in the scene was he exposes himself to the gas, which causes his heart rate to lower because it's like slowly killing him.
Really?
And maybe that is what they intended? It's
maybe.
Not obvious.
Yeah, that isn't obvious at all. So as the gas is pouring in, we know that Mike is already dead. Jason jumps through, of course. Ben is trying to get Zoe to come with him, and she says to go, leave her. And she's coughing. We see her crack the last camera. She falls to the ground. She starts crawling over to a breathing mask. Then we transition to Ben and Jason, who seem to slide into a room that I called the hypnotic room.
Her solution is very clever.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. In this hypnotic room, all the surfaces are black and white, filled with spirals and lines that
I would
are
call
meant
it the psychedelic room, but
okay, sure, the psychedelic room. It's meant to disorient. Ben says that he should have forced Zoe to come out, and Jason says it doesn't matter because she would have just died in another room. Ben tells him that must be how he does it with all his friends, just lets them die, and Jason treats him like he's 5 by telling him, use your words. Ben tells him that the story of there only being one jacket between 2 friends was really convenient that his friend just died, and Jason tells him he really doesn't want to do this now. Ben says that Jason's survival had nothing to do with the luck. Ben, who is much shorter than Jason and not physically fit as Jason, because we saw his abs in the last room. Yeah. He's got muscles. Ben tries to attack him. Jason grabs him by the throat and tells him that survival was a choice. We do get a shot of Jason drowning his college roommate for the jacket and letting his body flow away. Jason lets him go and tells him to look out for clues. In the middle of the room is a chair that faces a TV that displays only static, and between the two is this massive wheel that opens the door, we think. Ben asks what it might lead to, and Jason doesn't want to touch the wheel, and so Ben's like, fine, I'll do it, but it's too hard for him, so Jason has to help him, and the two of them are able to spin it, but then afterwards, Jason looks at his hands, says, what is this crap all over my hands? And it starts getting fuzzy.
The designers of this room had to know there would be 2 people.
They had to have, right?
You need 2 people to open, but yeah, okay. Kind of weird. But
right. Or there would have been a third person that didn't need the antidote.
Right. So they both start hallucinating wildly. It's like they're on some hallucinogen or something.
Right. And it did reveal an exit, but there's a message there that says, feel free to leave, but we may note it's best to find the antidote.
Implying that it's going to do more than just make them hallucinate.
Right.
So there are a few questions I have about this room.
Sure.
So the first one being, does this still fit my theory of every room is torturing them in some way, right? We've had the heat, the cold, the sound, and the, I guess, electricity maybe.
Yeah.
Now you have, I guess, sort of torturing them by making them very, very high and putting them in a room that seems designed to exacerbate the paranoia effects of that drug. You know?
Right, and then the platform that the chair and the TV are on starts spinning.
Yeah.
To make it worse.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So one thing that I noted about the note were most clues in the movie, except for any time they say Dr. Wu-Tang Yu, most of the clues are all caps. Uh-huh. Like this clue looks like it's been cut out of newspaper articles.
Yeah. And
it's been pasted together, and whether the letter is capital or not, it just seems random in this note. Yep. It seems like this fun little thing. I just thought it was funny that up until this point, the clues seem to fit a pattern in how they're written, and this one is obviously not. So as the room starts spinning, Jason's like, I'm not going to die. Ben starts banging on the wall and really fast finds this syringe with the antidote. He then offers to share, like, hey, I found the antidote.
Why would you do that? It says 1 dose, right? Like,
where does it say 1 dose, though?
It was written right on the thing.
On the syringe?
It was either on the syringe or on the thing where he pulled the syringe out of.
Okay, it could have.
It said 1 dose, inject directly into muscle.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he was willing to share it and try.
But that's just stupid. You know the guy you're with, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what's going to happen. Right. Obviously, you just grab it and eject immediately.
Right. Well, the guy tackles him so fast, they fight over it. Jason twists Ben's leg pretty hard. As Jason grabs the syringe, Ben tackles him, His head hits the corner of something, which sends him to the floor with his head bleeding out, and he dies. Ben jams the antidote into his leg, and the room stops rotating. He then crawls down the hatch to see the library from the opening of the movie.
And until we got there, I didn't realize that was actually going to be part of the movie. Like,
right.
I thought it might be just some other character that gets killed, like in the beginning of Cube. But it's nice that it actually winds up mattering.
Yeah, I think some people online said that they noticed it was the same actor, and they didn't like that they knew up until this point that he would survive.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the library, we see the same events are playing out. But what we get to see is that from Zoe's perspective, a different door opens up in the hospital wing. They see that all the cameras are busted, and then they see a gas mask is hanging down from the ceiling. They say, what does she plan to do with that? And from behind her...
stupid question.
It is a stupid question. And from behind her, she yells, "Breathe, bitch," before she hits the people with an IV pole. I wouldn't have answered the question, though.
Yeah,
I would hit them without saying anything to shock them even more. But she's able to knock them both unconscious. She's able to grab a gun. And we cut to Ben getting smashed in the library. Now, deleted scene here that was cut out of the movie. Zoe makes her way to a different control room than we see in this movie. There's a woman controlling it. She holds a gun to her head. The woman tells her that it doesn't matter. Ben's already dead. She acts like Zoe doesn't know how to use a gun. And she fires into the air and goes, "Idiots use guns every day." Like, it's not hard to use a gun. And she convinces her to tell her how to get out of here. And then she says that the woman needs to come with her. And then the scene is cut. But since we never see a woman later in the movie, it doesn't make sense.
Right. That's why they had to cut it.
Yeah. We see Ben back in the library. He grabs a shield to use to push back the fire so he could hide in the fireplace. As the room finishes smashing, the wall that was coming in on him collapses completely, meaning he can now get out of the fireplace and be free. He then makes it to the game master's room.
That's interesting, though. Does that mean that the puzzle he solved did nothing?
Yeah, that does seem like that, right? Or maybe he didn't read the clues right and he misinterpreted something.
If so, I would sure like to know what he missed.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's very odd.
Yeah. He sees a computer set up. We have a couch that's facing a big screen with everybody's faces on it, and they're all X'd out except for his. A voice comes overhead calling him a dark horse because his money was on Jason. He continues to say that's what makes his game so fascinating, saying that after being burnt, frozen, poisoned, and crippled, he still managed to escape the final room. The man comes into the room telling Ben to take a seat and have a drink because he's earned it. Ben says that he was the one designing all the rooms. Then the guy says, "No, I'm the game master. The puzzle master designs all the rooms." Ben tells him that he kills people for fun, and the game master tells him that Ben killed all his friends because he didn't want to pay for a cab, so watch your high horse that you're on.
Well, that's a good point.
And then he says, from the beginning of time, people have loved to watch people fight for their lives, and he references gladiator fights and rubbernecking on the freeway. He says that their customers are some of the richest people in the world, and every year they want more complicated rooms, more interesting subjects, and more gambling, life or death.
He actually says they're the most powerful people in the world.
Oh, okay.
I'm
sorry.
Not quite the same thing.
Yeah, my bad. He says that last year they have athletes, which there's the deleted scene about, and the year before savants. Ben calls him a psychopath, and he says that he used to hurt being called a psychopath, but not anymore. Says he won with the lowest odds ever to win, and he offers Ben a cigarette.
I gotta think at this point, clearly they're not gonna do all that to you and let you walk away, right? I mean,
right.
And he's still acting like he thinks he's winning a game show, right? And it's
yes.
Obviously not. You'd be crazy to accept that cigarette.
But interestingly, the next movie is called The Tournament of Champions, right?
Yeah.
The whole premise of the next movie is that they get survivors of these games and throw them back in.
That doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit at all.
They must have forgot what they told us at the end of this one.
Right, exactly. Or they just didn't like Ben because he won and he wasn't supposed to be the winner. I don't know.
I think they broke it.
They did, right? Yeah. So the games master tells him that when the Kentucky Derby ends, do you think the horse gets a prize? He puts a metal cord around his neck and drives him backwards. He's pulled off the couch. And then Ben uses the piece of wood that was still stuck in his leg from the last room out and stabs the game master with it in his leg. And I wanted to point, when my game master does something I don't like in Dungeons and Dragons, I've never thought of stabbing him in the leg before.
You should try it.
That's a try. All right. The camera turns and we watch as the screen shows system override. And then it shows that the GM now is a member of the game, and it says in play right next to Zoe, who now also says in play, although there's an X around Ben like he's already dead. Zoe comes out, shoots the GM twice. She checks for Ben. The GM is nowhere to be found. She tries to shout for Ben to wake up, and when she turns her head, the GM tackles her to the ground and says that she can't leave until the game is finished. Ben shows up screaming and smashes a liquor bottle across the GM's face. Ben grabs the gun, and as Zoe's starting to say, make sure he's, Ben shoots him twice in the chest and says he's dead.
Which is a nice change from so many movies where they never shoot him.
Right.
Which I've complained about before.
And then for some reason, Ben drops the gun, which is something I do complain about horror movies all the time.
Yeah.
Like in The Purge, when that movie Zoe shoots the polite leader, she then places the gun on the floor instead of holding it because the Purge night is not over yet. Oh my God. Yeah, that drives me nuts.
That is really stupid.
Zoe helps Ben outside. He is shocked that she came back for him, and she says that she's tired of being the only survivor. We cut to him hooked up in an IV bag and a nurse telling Zoe that he's been stable now for 24 hours and she should get some rest. But this is when police arrive asking Zoe if she feels like coming with them. So we have this scene where they take her to the building. There's tons of cop cars everywhere. A detective takes her to the third floor and shows her that the waiting room that she thought was there just looks like an abandoned building that people have been squatting in.
Which, I mean, again, she's supposed to be so smart.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know they're going to clean up the scene of their crimes. Like,
right.
I mean, come on.
She tries to tell them all this evidence was there, but they don't believe any of it.
Well, of course not. She's just ranting like a stupid idiot, which, again, contrasts with what they've told us about her. But
right. She says that Ben will back up her story, but then they said they've already gotten the toxicology report from Ben, and that he has 3 different types of illegal substances in his system. So this is where she looks up and sees that No Way Out is written above where that escape was on the wall, but above that is also a plane on fire nosedive into the ground, which I thought was interesting. She realizes that Wu Tan Yu is an anagram for No Way Out, and the detective tells her that she has to leave, and the camera fades as she starts screaming. So if they didn't think she was crazy before, which they do, she seems even crazier just now.
Stupid.
We have another overhead shot of the city before it switches to a river view and a title card that says 6 months later. Zoe and Ben are meeting for coffee, and Ben offers some big news that he is the new regional sales rep for a company that sells vegan dog food. He notices her binder and asks if it's homework, and she looks around, revealing that she's collected all the stories of how the people who they were with in the game are reportedly have died. Mike died from a heart attack at Union Station. Jason was thrown from a bike and found with drugs in the system. Danny drowned in the river, and Amanda was found having fallen from a rock climbing accident where she was climbing by herself. Ben tries to tell her that she needs to let it go. She says that pretending that those people never existed isn't something she can do. She shows them clues that she collected about the company that puts on the games, Minos. She tells them that the logo is an impossible object, which is an Escher staircase that turns in on itself, and there are numbers in a pattern on the staircase that repeat in a sequence at right angles, which coordinate with an unlisted industrial building in Manhattan. Ben asks what they're supposed to do with this knowledge, and she tells him that she's bought 2 plane tickets that leave in 2 weeks, and she's going whether he goes or not. He tells her it is survivor's guilt, and his therapist says that they need to move on to live. She says that moving on doesn't mean running, and she's done with running. So he tells her he is in, but informs her that he is not Jason Bourne, and they share a laugh. And we cut to a shot of a plane on fire. We see it from below the plane, and the movie wants us to think that this is them already crashing on that plane. I think. But we cut to 2 different people on board trying to solve the puzzle. We see a flight attendant looking through bags, and she finds one with an X on it and has to verbally say out loud, X marks the spot. Inside the bag, she finds a metal cylinder. She runs over to a male flight attendant who connects it to another piece. She puts it in the lock and claims it won't work, but he tells her to try clockwise. And I thought, really, if you're turning a key, it doesn't turn one way, you wouldn't instantly try to turn it the other way? I thought that was dumb. She turns it clockwise and it lowers a panel with a keypad illuminated in blue, and above it is a clue that reads, I fly without wings, I cry without eyes. He tells her to try a cloud. She does, and it unlocks the door to a cockpit where 2 pilots are passed out. She sees they're heading for a mountain. She tries to pull up, but not in time. She screams when it crashes. We see fire in the windows, which now we could tell are monitor screens, which means they're in a simulation. And this is where I thought the movie cheated a little bit, because when we opened the establishing shot, we saw from below the plane as it's crashing, but now they're in a room and the plane is sitting on a thing that would move it.
Right.
So how would we ever see below the plane?
The establishing shot was a total lie.
Right. It doesn't work. The woman pretending to be the flight attendant complains that she cut herself on a part of the puzzle again, and a man in a black screen silhouette tells the man that they don't need to run the simulation again, that they're ready for game time. The silhouette man asks the man running the simulation, what are the odds that the person will survive? And he says 4%. And he said, well, it isn't a game unless we give them a chance. And then he puts Zoe and Ben's flight information on the screen and says he's so glad that Zoe got rid of her fear of flying. And he says, let's play again.
Okay. So I was one of the things I was fascinated with was the prediction right at the beginning where Danny says that they ask him how long the escape room is, as if he could know that. And he said, I was once in one that was 5 rooms long.
Yeah.
And I was wondering the whole time, okay, how many rooms are there going to be then? Right. And if you believe my counting, there are 6.
Sure.
Which does kind of seem like they chose it just to one up his prediction, right? Like,
okay, maybe.
Or maybe the other way around. Chose his prediction to be one upped by the actual number of rooms that they had. So the other thing is, I kind of wondered if, and I'm maybe giving the movie too much credit, but I kind of wondered if there's kind of a metaphor for escaping past trauma, like the escape room is kind of your own mind.
Maybe.
But I don't know if this kind of movie is really smart enough for that sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe not.
And this movie gets really bad ratings and reviews. It's got like a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. And like I said, a lot of people call it a B movie. I don't see where they're coming from, honestly. The writing seems really clever and creative. The production values are excellent. The acting is good. Yeah. I think it's a little underrated, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's only a 6.4 on IMDb, which normally rates things much higher.
I don't think that's called for.
I like this movie a lot. That's weird. Wow.
I'm not sure what people didn't like about it.
Okay. So the original opening scene showed 4 members of a soccer team and their coach show up to the same waiting room. They're speaking Spanish, and the receptionist also speaks Spanish. You could tell that the 4 players hate each other, and they've been brought there so that they can learn to get along through an escape room. They can work together as a team because it's hurting their playing on the field. This is the coach's idea to help them bond.
Sorry, is this what now?
This is the original opening of the movie.
So
they referenced that last year's was athletes, right?
Yeah, okay.
Well, these are 4 soccer players and their coach who've shown up to the same Minos waiting room.
Got it.
With their receptionist, although they speak Spanish and the receptionist speaks Spanish. The room's a little bit different. Instead of a water cooler, there's a machine with the right number of water bottles, and one of the players starts drinking it instantly, although he puts it down on the table, not on a coaster, and another player, because they all argue the whole time about one player stealing their women and one person trying to be the lead guy on the field and all this stuff. He says, don't you read the sign? It says to use the coasters. And he puts on the coaster, and they start fighting and not realizing that the thing lowers with the water there. They're pretty bad at the number dial. The coach keeps yelling that I wasn't supposed to be part of this. It was just supposed to be the players. They do find the same screwdriver, but the one guy panicking breaks it off in the lock right as another player finds the key that's supposed to go in the lock, so they can't even use it. So they do break the lock off to reveal that the mannequin's behind there. And then when the fire comes down, they just all turn around together as a group and scream as they're all killed. They all die in the first room.
It would be kind of weird to say that it was the same exact room that we thought was targeted to the players that we saw, right? You know?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it, some things are slightly changed, but it just took away from the mystery of us seeing the characters through that room.
Yeah.
Which is why I think they used the segment of Ben going through the library as the opening instead of it. Mm-hmm. So that's the biggest deleted scene. Some of them others are really small. The original ending is definitely different. Zoe's looking through a puzzle book. She sees the Minos logo in it, and on the bottom of the page number, it says 359, which is too large for this book that she has, so the number doesn't go there. But she knows that being the number of the classroom she was in earlier. She runs back to the classroom at her desk. She starts looking around, and this fake compartment pops out from her desk with a check for $10,000 from Minos, saying, you won, here's the money. She rips up the check, not wanting the money. Also in that compartment is the compass that was around her mother's neck from the plane crash that her mother was wearing. A speaker pops out at the professor's desk that says that she's done something that no one's ever done before, which is beaten the game, which, as I pointed out, with the sequel called Tournament Champions, is not true.
Yeah.
And then the man from this speaker says, a riddle, true north is a lie, when planes fall from the sky, open your eyes to time, how you play the game means whether you live or die. Then it tells her she has 90 minutes, and then we hear a whisper that says no way out. And that's how the movie was originally going to end, which wasn't as good. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. But I really like this movie.
Yeah, I think it's a good movie. I think it's
beautiful.
Like I said, I think it's definitely underrated.
Yeah. Well, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We have episodes every Monday, so please listen to us again. If you want to follow us on Instagram, Nightmare Echoes Pod. Thanks for being here.
Thanks from Dr. Wu-Tan, you as well.
Bye. Ben then jams the antidote into his room, and then the room stops rotating.
He jams it into his room? No.
He jams it into his leg, and the room stops rotating. I'll just do it again.
Jams it into his room, and the leg stops rotating.
Let me just do it again.